Hey guys, welcome back. You know what time it is? It's mod time, baby. I hope you guys are hungry today, like starving, because on today's mod menu, we have not only a wide variety of items, but also the biggest mod that I've ever covered and probably ever will cover. Consider it to be the food challenge of today's menu. So, before we start, quick reminder to leave a like on the video if at any point you find yourself enjoying it, and if you're new around here, then definitely hit that subscribe button. You know you want to. Go on, do it. Also, don't forget to join the official HiddenXperia Discord server. I don't think I need to give a reason why, other than, you know, it's only the most iconic Discord server out there. The link is in the description. So, let's get on with the show. Our first mod on today's menu is Snow Slayer, created by Zephyrcraft. As usual, the link to download this mod and all the others featured in this video can be found in the description. So, Snow Slayer, as you can see, is a total overhaul of Forge World in more ways than one. Winter has come! More to Forge World than it ever did to Westeros. Snow covers the grassy plains and rocky mountains of the installation. The lake has entirely frozen over, allowing access between the mainland and the islands off in the distance. And on top of that, it's even snowing. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. When you dip beneath the surface of Snow Slayer, you'll find a plethora of highly customized weapons and vehicles. Now, when I say highly customized, trust me, I mean it. These weapons are what I imagine you'd get if you put the regular reach weapons into a Pack-a-Punch machine, but the Pack-a-Punch machine isn't quite working as intended. There's also a lot of them, so let's waste no more time and dive in. The first weapon is the Fireworks Rifle, which, as you can see, more than lives up to its name. A heavily modified assault rifle that rapid fires fusion coils at faster than light speed. This thing is about as destructive as you can imagine. This is simply the battle rifle, except now the burst fires faster than a laser and the rounds do a fair bit more damage to vehicles as well. Maybe the thicker body allows it to fire beefier rounds? Who knows? This utter abomination is the grenade launcher, except now it doesn't launch grenades. It launches a super fast burst of 5 rockets. Again, about as destructive as you can imagine, and definitely makes up for the more than peculiar paint job. Halo now has its own Uzi. Nope, I'm not joking, this is literally called the Uzi. Nice to know that the Israelis have barely changed their designs in like 500 years. Don't fix what ain't broke, I guess. This thing might sound extremely beefy, and it's not exactly weak, but compared to the rest of the weapons in this mod, I'll be damned if this thing isn't firing 9mm rounds. This is the Rocket Launcher. 2 words that I never thought I'd use in the same sentence. The low-res, albeit cool paint job on this thing is only the tip of the iceberg of its weirdness. It fires not a rocket, but an explosive beam tower beam that, upon impact, creates a massive explosion and also creates the beam tower firing effect. Okay, right, you know what? I'm not even going to question it. This extremely tall boy is the cluster grenade, although clearly it's not a grenade, it's a shotgun. But now, the shells are filled with grenade launcher grenades as opposed to pellets, making it the perfect pump-action anti-vehicle weapon. Also got a pretty cool paint job as well. This one does exactly what it says on the tin. This is the Fuel Rod Sniper. So, if a regular sniper can take the hat off an elite at 2,000 yards, then this absolute monster can destroy an entire Covenant convoy at 20,000 yards. Not only are the fuel rods highly explosive, they also have an almost instant travel time and can even bend the laws of physics as we know them, on occasion. Don't let this simple blue tube fool you. This absolute monster of a weapon, the Wraith Laser, is what happens if you give a Spartan laser steroids every day for 2 or 3 decades. Not only does it fire a regular laser blast, it also fires a Wraith Mortar with infinite range and 0 drop, and on top of that, it can even be used by specially trained Spartans to rocket jump. Note, I said specially trained, not everyone can do this, quite clearly. And finally, for the human weapons, we have the M80 Firecracker, a red grenade that isn't actually a grenade, it's a propane tank. I'll let this one speak for itself. Moving over to the Covenant weapons, if you can even call them Covenant weapons, we have the Seraph Cannon, an abomination of a concussion rifle that fires a short but highly effective burst of fuel rods. Next up, the Long Range Energy Sword. Now, you're not going to believe this, right? But this is an energy sword with a longer range. How crazy is that? You would have never guessed it. Sadly though, I can't spawn any enemies, so you'll just have to take my word for that. This is aptly named the Laser Gun. What the Covenant lost in complex naming conventions, they made up for in stopping power when they made this thing. It's literally just a high-capacity fuel rod that can rapid-fire Spartan laser lasers. What's not to love? The tiny hammer is what I like to imagine brutes are given before they're big enough to hold an actual gravity hammer. Although, for some reason, it seems to size up when a Spartan holds it. Maybe my Spartan's compensating or something. This thing functions exactly like a regular gravity hammer. No difference at all, apart from it looks smaller before you pick it up. We've seen the laser gun, but now it's time for its highly advanced older brother, the laser rifle. Literally a focus rifle that, instead of firing plasma, fires a constant beam of Spartan laser beam. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most destructive thing in this entire video, and an absolute badass of a weapon. This thing cuts through vehicles like a 1,000-degree knife through butter. Yeah, remember that YouTube trend? Where the hell did that come from? But yeah, this weapon is an absolute badass, and it's incredibly satisfying to shoot. Speaking of sibling weapons, this is the Rock Candy Rifle, the younger brother of the two food weapons. Don't ask. It fires rock candy, apparently. I don't really know what to say about this. It's weird. It's pretty destructive. It's a fully automatic candy rifle, but its older brother, the Subway Sandwich, dials the candy rifle up to 11. It fires pieces of candy faster than a minigun. It might do next to no damage, but the weird Pack-a-Punch-esque firing sound combined with the really strange body of this weapon make it kind of mesmerizing to fire. The Plasma Glycerin Launcher is what happens if you melt down a Spartan laser and a plasma launcher, combine their liquid forms, and then reform them into a weird form of a weapon. It's a plasma launcher that fires both plasma grenades and Spartan laser shots at the same time, up to 4 times, before overheating. Okay. The Fusion Pistol is what you get if you convert the Plasma Pistol into a lethal monster. Its regular shot is just a simple overcharged shot, capable of EMPing. But its overcharged shot is a literal ball of fiery explosive death. If you hit a vehicle with a regular shot, followed up by an overcharged shot, they're toast. Incredibly burnt and overcooked toast. And if that's the best lethal anti-vehicle weapon in existence, then the Ionizer is the best non-lethal anti-vehicle weapon in existence. It's a plasma repeater that fires rapidly overcharged plasma pistol shots, the bane of every single wheelman's existence. I cannot imagine how infuriating this thing must be to play against. Please, 343, take absolutely zero ideas from this weapon. The penultimate weapon is a favourite of mine, actually, the Lava Pellet Gun, a spiker that fires huge lava pellets, and by huge, I mean huge, and as you can imagine, they absolutely shred through vehicles. Now this one really is a 1,000-degree knife through butter. The Covenant Grenade is the Fuel Rod Grenade, which, after a pretty cool warning sound, does exactly what you think it does. Explodes like a fuel rod. And the final weapon is the Ruth Cannon. I'm still not sure why it's called the Ruth Cannon. I have no idea. I also don't really have much of an idea what this thing does either. It fires what I think are Saber missiles that take a few seconds to detonate and also stick to stuff and have a really, really big but really weak blast radius when they do explode. The V model isn't the only strange thing about this weapon, apparently. And now for the vehicles. Starting off, we have the Fighter Jet, a cool-looking, highly modified Banshee that sounds really cool, actually. It fires a constant barrage of Saber missiles along with a focused rifle beam as its secondary. and it travels, as you can expect, stupidly fast. A trend among the vehicles in this mod. This is the Aerospatiale SA2, I think. A cool looking, but I think functionally identical Falcon. As cool as the black textures look, I couldn't work out how this thing differs from a regular Falcon. I don't think it does. Now this is pod racing. This is the Pod Racer, one that would truly make Sebulba happy. It's about the most unsafe thing you can drive, so it's pretty canon accurate, but I'll be damned if this thing isn't fun as hell to zoom across the frozen lake with. Just make sure you watch out for the uneven ground. As you can see, this thing's pretty sensitive to even the smallest bump. The snowmobile, or the snow goose as I like to call it, is exactly what you think it is. It's a mongoose modified for use in snowy territory, and on top of that, it seems to have also received quite the boost to its top speed. I'm not going to complain. This is Santa's sleigh, and if Santa came to town in this, then I'd be running for the hills. It's on par with the Pod Racer in terms of how unstable it is. I would not trust a dude to fly around the entire planet in a single night in it. Nothing good can ever come from that. This is the M88B tank, a snowy tank that, as far as I can tell, just fires the beam tower beams instead of regular tank shells. The Shade Turret has even received some love with this mod as well. What was once a fairly effective anti-infantry turret is now basically a plasma death beam. With how fast this thing fires plasma bolts, it looks more like a hosepipe than a turret. A really hot, really deadly hosepipe. The Warthog on Snow Slayer now has 3 different variants, all adapted for the snow. The Infantry Hog is just a transport hog, but for some reason, like the others, it has a Wraith laser strapped to the bottom that, when fired, just destroys the hog. Intentional? Maybe. The second hog is a simple rocket hog, with rockets that seem to be far more explosive than usual. And the third hog is, well, an abomination of the highest order. It's a tank morphed with a hog, morphed with a crate, and just like the regular tank, of course, it doesn't fire tank shells, it fires beam tower beams. Because, of course it does. This is the Invisible Wraith. It's a Wraith that's invisible, and also the mortars have no travel time. Cool. And now for what is called the Z-Craft. You know what? I'm not even going to ask. It's like a space pod racer on steroids that goes insanely fast, but can also stop literally instantly. I'm pretty sure that isn't how the laws of physics work, but whatever. In terms of armament, it has a fully automatic shotgun where each pellet is a Wraith mortar with instant travel time and a Banshee autocannon that fires fuel rods. All in all, an utterly peculiar creation that's probably a reference to something that I'm completely missing. Next up, another Aerospatiale SA2, another one that just looks different to earlier. Also, I just found out that an Aerospatiale SA2 is apparently a VTOL helicopter hybrid from Avatar. The more you know, I guess. Clearly, however, this isn't a VTOL, nor is it a helicopter of any kind. Instead, it's a massive saber with stretched out wings that flies faster than your regular vanilla saber, but other than that, isn't actually any different. And finally, to end this absolute behemoth of a mod on a wholesome note, we have the Polar Express. Sadly, there's no CGI Tom Hanks included with this vehicle. All it is the only truck with like 15 carriages attached to the back, each of which seem to have like negative friction. This thing slides around more than... oh, god damn it. Okay, I can't think of a reference. Somebody put a reference to sliding down below in the comments. All I know is that if this thing were to take a few hundred passengers across the planet, there'd be more health and safety lawsuits filed than if the Spartan program was made public. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Snow Slayer, the biggest mod that I've ever covered. And breathe. So, for this next mod, we need to be able to roleplay accurately, and to do that, we need to ensure that we have the best audio quality possible, and luckily for us, this video just so happens to be sponsored by Raycon. Raycon earbuds offer premium audio quality but start at around half the price of other premium brands. Not only are they discreet, they're also super comfy and come in a variety of different colours and patterns. And best of all, if you decide to buy a pair through my link, you'll get 15% off. Just head to buyraycon.com/HiddenXperia and get 15% off your first order. I have the E25s in red, and not only do they look great, but they also have a solid 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, great bass, and a fantastic compact design, so they're both noise isolating and also really comfy. So if you want some wireless earbuds with audio quality equal to that of the Mjolnir's inbuilt audio system, but of course doesn't cost you as much as an entire battle group of frigates, then check out Raycon by going to raycon.com/HiddenXperia for 15% off your first order. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video, and now back to the mods. Right, so this one I think will either make you feel extremely dirty or give you the biggest power trip of your entire life. Welcome to Playable Jackal Sniper, the next part in Corband 007's Covenant mod series. As the name implies, this mod allows you to play as the bane of every single Halo player's existence, the infamous, legendary Jackal Sniper. But hidden, I hear you say. Reach's Jackal Snipers only had focus rifles, they weren't that bad. Well, my friend, do I have some news for you. This isn't a simple biped swap that we're dealing with here. Corbman went out of his way to recreate the entire beam rifle, even going as far as to import its firing sound effects from Halo 3, and boy is it lethal as ever. Finally, we know what it felt like to be that one pesky bastard of a sniper, hiding behind a rock or through a bush, waiting for you to stumble into his sight line when you thought the coast was clear. And like I said, it makes you feel an unsettling combination of dirty and powerful. But it doesn't stop there either. If you install the reshade preset that Corbman has with the mod, you even get a custom HUD that looks exactly like the type of thing that a Kigyar sniper would have in that sort of cybernetic eye cover thing that they often have. You combine that with the really cool threat detection effect that you get when you activate night vision, and you have a genuinely authentic experience on your hands. If you couldn't tell already, the goal of this firefight mode is just to pick off all the humans at the waterfront. These range from rebels, armed with nothing but a winter jacket and a magnum, to army troopers, ODSTs with jetpacks, and even Spartans in the later rounds, some of which come armed with target designators, and trust me, they know how to use them. On your side are squads of elites, typically ultras, and phantoms with custom cannons and a really aesthetic looking spotlight. The map is even modified as well, with a cruiser looming in the distance and more construction buildings scattered around. I played this on Legendary at first, but then I was sort of like, hang on, when we were playing Legendary, the Jackal Snipers were essentially playing on easy, so I quickly went back to the menu and changed the difficulty around and put it on easy to get the true Jackal Sniper experience. All in all, Corbman's put a ton of love and effort into this mode and map, and I highly suggest that you check it out. Right. Let's be honest here. I know that deep down, every true Halo fan wants to know what it feels like to be on the other end of that beam rifle, to give the same beating to the AI that they gave to you once upon a time. So why hesitate? Check out this mod today. Next up, we have Warzone. Now, fear not, I'm not about to play some Halo 5 gameplay that's ridden with microtransactions, ugly armor, and a lack of content. Instead, we have Unearthed PvPvE by GameCheat13. To download this mod, you need to join the Halo Mods Discord, the link to which can be found in the description. Then, just navigate to the modding downloads channel and download it. But what is it, you ask? Well, it does exactly what it says on the tin. GameCheat took the Firefight map, Unearthed, and converted it into a full-on PvPvE experience. Kind of akin to Warzone, but, you know, without any of the microtransactions. But unlike Warzone, you can even forge on this and create your own custom maps. We set up a game of 6v6 CTF on it. Blue team and red team spawned on either side of the map, and strewn across the map are a bunch of AI squads, ranging from just about every Covenant enemy to every UNSC enemy, and also randomized Spartans and even Noble team. These AI stand as not only a threat to you, and also the enemy team, but also to each other as well. You'll often stumble across like UNSC AI fighting Covenant AI, and when one of them wins, they'll just stop turning on you and start fighting you, or interrupt your firefight with the enemy team. It's a really cool dynamic that takes what Warzone did well and literally just dials it up to 11. The AI in this seems so much more active and aggressive, but not in an annoying way. They're like an actual threat now, unlike in Warzone. Then there's the custom weapons. Firstly, we have the Jackal shield, which actually works. There are a few times in this game where I managed to completely turn a fight by pulling out the shield, getting close to the enemy, deflecting their shots, and beating them down. A cool touch as well is that if somebody's holding the shield, you can actually still kill them by shooting underneath it at their feet, which do poke out. Unless you crouch, then they're fully covered, albeit giving you a much slower move speed, but perfect for creating a phalanx. Then there's the combat knife, which is typically seen in assassination animations, but Game Cheat made it its own weapon. What was once called the prison shank essentially now works like a Halo 2 sword. It has a super quick lunge speed and is a 2-hit kill. Pretty cool. And finally, we have the target designator, which has been buffed just a little bit. So no longer does that massive red marker appear where the missiles are going to land. Instead, the only indicator you get is music. If you hear the music, then it's time to run. And as for the missiles, well, there's more of them. A lot more of them, in fact. It's gone from a simple missile strike to an entire carpet bomb. And on top of that, there's even pilotable vehicles like Phantoms and Spirits, which are really useful for transport, especially in objective modes, but even more useful for kamikaze attacks. So, if you want to give Halo Reach's very own version of Warzone a try, then join the Halo Mods Discord today and either host or join a game night. People in there are really active, so you shouldn't have any issue either joining or setting up a modded game night. This is the Drivable Dumpster. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It turns the infamous Halo 3 co-op jumping glitch that completely turned the entire tide of the Battle of Earth into an actual vehicle, but as you can see, in its vanilla state, it's a bit boring, so I decided to crank it up a notch. Hi, I'm Noble6, and welcome to Jackass. Okay, I can't use any more of the Jackass theme out of fear of being copyrighted, so Halo music will have to do. And finally today, we have Zombie Firefight, and this time it actually works. In fact, it does more than work, it's actually really atmospheric. Halo Reach fan took Waterfront and gave it a proper Nectar and Totem vibe, with a dark, overcast sky and thick fog rolling in. The mod took inspiration from an old-ish Reach mod called Downfall that is quite literally Zombie Firefight. Made by JJIJR, Downfall gives army troopers COD-style orange glowing eyes and zombie face textures and has them run at you in the darkness as you try and spot them with your flashlight and take them out. It's a really cool mod that, as a massive fan of zombies, I've wanted to play for years but never been able to, so until it gets remade on PC, we have this. Instead of zombies, Reach fan made the elites melee only, aside from the odd grenade, and they spawn in fairly large hordes. Unfortunately, there's no Juggernog on Waterfront, so the elites can quite easily two-hit you. I died a fair bit when I was trying to get used to how this mod played. It's pretty brutal when you first start playing it, quite honestly. As for the weapons, despite the lack of Pack-a-Punch machine, quite a lot has changed. On top of a bunch of damage buffs, some of which I'm adamant are Easter eggs, the DMR has been converted to full auto, the Magnum fires in 2-shot bursts, and the shotgun now fires like a sort of pump-action double-barreled hybrid, firing 2 shells in quick succession after the pull of the trigger. It also has a custom crosshair as well. The sniper now functions like a bolt action, allowing a maximum of 2 rounds to be loaded and requiring a new round to be chambered after every shot. Now, even though that's a pretty hacky way of doing it, as somebody who's always wanted to see the Halo universe's take on a bolt action, this makes me pretty happy. The assault rifle now fires much slower but has higher damage to compensate, along with reduced bloom, and the sword, well, it's not really a sword anymore, it's more like a halberd now. So the base for the weapon is the flagpole, and consequently, it has a much larger swing range. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't have a lunge, but when you swing it, anything it touches gets one shot, and considering how big it is, if you can learn how to use it properly, it ends up being a pretty effective last resort weapon in close quarters. Although this mod isn't quite downfall and it is still in beta, it's a really atmospheric and actually quite creepy experience. Definitely give it a try, especially if you, like me, long for a more horrifying firefight experience. And so, that does it for today's Halo mod showcase. Go and try these mods out. The download links to all of them can be found in the description. Just try not to have too much fun with the Jackal Sniper one. You might start empathizing with their cause or something, and the last thing the Halo community needs are Halo 2 Jackal Sniper apologists. So, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my patrons for their continued support over there, as per usual, and thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.